My Dad Watches The Bachelor. I'm Meredith, and I'm here with my co-host, my dad.
Hey, Meredith, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's been a big weekend for me. I know it's only Tuesday, but, I'm exhausted, and I'm ready to talk about The Bachelor with you.
I admire your diligence and that you moved into a new apartment yesterday, but your priority was making sure that your TV and wireless were working so you could watch The Bachelor and be ready to podcast about it. So, kudos to you.
Of course, the show must go on.
It must.
It would have been nice if ABC decided to take a week break like they sometimes do, giving me the week off to move, but, I guess they don't care about me that much.
I know. Sometimes it almost feels like it's not all about you, which makes me think of our bachelorettes, who obviously think it's all about them. So we can talk about last night's episode.
To be fair, the show is all about them.
I guess, but they struck me as a little bit needy last night. But I guess we should start with some highlights.
Okay, high for me. Well, maybe it's a high. We're on a cruise ship now. We are cruising around Europe, and I did not catch the name or the company of this ship, but did you?
I think it was Virgin Atlantic or Virgin something. I guess I think it's that one.
I'm pulling up Gabby's Instagram because I saw she posted something about it yesterday or this morning. She posted the Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady. So I think it's called the Virgin Voyages.
Okay. Well, the dudes seem to be very happy in that they have all sorts of amenities that they're able to take advantage of, or at least a place where they can hang out very comfortably. They seem very excited about it.
They do seem excited. The cruise ship looks nice. You and I have been on a few cruise ships in our day. We're more Royal Caribbean people. I'm not sure I would want to go on a cruise ship now. I feel like post-COVID life, cruise ships kind of freak me out a little bit. I'm not trying to get stuck on one in like a little COVID petri dish.
I think if Royal Caribbean wanted to sponsor us, though, we would say nice things about them.
That's true. We would accept Royal Caribbean as a sponsor. We will go on your cruise ship for free, even post-COVID.
Yep.
But I'm liking this new element. We're separating the men. They each are apparently on different floors. They don't get to interact with each other as much. They're not living together. We have a Gabby floor. We have a Rachel floor. And I like that. We're starting to take the power back from the men, give it back to Gabby and Rachel, sort of. My question for you, do we think this cruise ship is only for the show, or are there random people on it as well?
I don't know. We didn't see it. We really didn't see any random people. I guess the group dates, I think, occurred before they were on the cruise ship, or maybe they were off the cruise ship.
I couldn't tell if the boxing was on or off the cruise ship, because then there were some random people there. Like, was that just your nighttime entertainment? You can go to a comedy show. You can go to the Bachelorette boxing group date.
Yeah, it would be strange. I mean, it looks like a very big ship. So it'd be strange if they were the only people on it. Maybe they reserved some floors for the Bachelor people. But I guess my only disappointment was when people didn't get roses or had to leave. I thought maybe they could walk the plank or something. That it would be a little bit more dramatic than it was. I thought.
Well, Hayden sort of walked the plank. Rachel walks him out to the gangplank and says, "Get off my ship, bitch."
We should have thrown him in the water. I think he deserved to get tossed overboard.
Yeah, make him swim home to Rambo.
Yeah. I like the cruise ship was nice. I'm a big fan of Paris, so I enjoyed them wandering around Paris, and because I'm at a point in my life where I'm hair challenged, I enjoyed them visiting the hat shop. So that I found myself very intrigued by that. And Gabby and Jason actually had their heads measured. See, I'm used to just getting like the medium hat or something like that, and they were getting some very detailed hats, and I had to laugh when Jason and Gabby they went on their little individual date, and then they met back up with Rachel and Tino, and they were talking about it. And Jason said, "I got a star hat." I thought that was pretty funny.
I did forget that you do love a good French beret hat. You seem to wear some weird like old man French caps a lot.
I'm at a point in my life where I don't care that much what you and other people think. So yeah, I'm willing to broaden my hat wearing to other areas.
A high for me was Gabby wearing her beret with her bun and talking about how all the weird things she looks like. She's like, I look like a bald baby. I shouldn't have worn my hair like this today. I thought that was enjoyable. I enjoyed Jason. We're getting some like ITM interviews with him in the moment, in case you aren't familiar with that acronym, where, Gabby says something about how he's like a man of few words and shoots, like, cuts to him in his interview and he says, I'm in Paris. I'm so excited. And then he just kind of starts looking around behind him, and that's all we get.
Yeah, I made a note of that too. That Gabby said that, and I thought that's because he's a real dolt. I don't think there's a lot going on up there. So
I think that's wrong. I think he shows us in the dinner portion of their date, he's got a lot going on up there. I'm a big Jason fan.
I'm not a big Jason fan, but I did warm up to him during the dinner date.
I'm
Yeah.
liking Jason more than I liked Eric for Gabby. I feel like Jason and Nate are top two for me now.
Well, as we discussed last week, I'm not really trusting Eric that much. I still don't really trust him. So I'm with you on that. But no, I also like they had a chance to. I guess this was it Tino and Gabby. Excuse me, Tino and Rachel made crepes. Who was it that made the crepes? I thought
Yep.
that looked fun. I mean, more fun Paris stuff. Um, and I texted you a little bit that as you know, as I think I've made clear, I'm not a big Jesse Palmer fan, and
Yeah, we don't really like him here on the podcast.
and I was shocked that he was speaking French because he's a football player from the University of Florida, and I just feel like they probably don't go to a lot of classes, and for some reason Jesse Palmer is speaking French. So I did some quick research. He's actually from Canada. Jesse Palmer's Canadian, so I think he might have been brought up speaking French.
I don't know if I'm more impressed by this like new knowledge you're dropping, or the fact that you cared enough to put in some research there.
It bugged me about this Jesse Palmer thing. So anyway, I'm giving a little kudos to Jesse today.
I kind of just assumed he was like reading some cue cards or like had memorized a phrase or two beforehand, but that's impressive if he knows French.
Oui, oui.
My other high, other than walking the plank with Hayden, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Tino and Rachel's date. I liked the dinner time portion, talking about how Rachel's ex wasn't supportive of her pilot career and she needs a man that's going to be supportive of her career, and Tino was all for it. We have a lot of guys that are all for it this week and just want to be like the stay-at-home dads. And I love a supportive guy. We love a woman in power, a career woman, and a man that supports that.
Well, I would I agree with you, but I would say just because a man wants to support a woman's career doesn't necessarily mean he wants to be a stay-at-home guy.
Well, I was thinking more about Tyler in that situation. Later, at the group date with Tyler, gets some one-on-one time, and he seems like he's ready to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, watching all the kids.
Well, isn't he the one that runs like a carnival or something on the Jersey Shore?
Yes, he is the Jersey boy. My roommate really likes him because he lives on the Jersey Shore.
Okay, well, um, so any other highs for you?
That was it for me. What about you?
I think I covered my highs, but let's talk a little bit about lows.
Let's get into it. What do you have?
First off, both group dates for me were lows in that we had the one group date that I guess Gabby's group date, which was um, French boxing, which they called savate, something like that. I'm not familiar with it. In my I'm accustomed to any French fighting techniques, including some sort of surrender flag. But I've never been much of a person that I don't like these fighting boxing type competitions. I don't know, maybe just because I'm afraid I would get my face crushed in by somebody, but it just doesn't seem to be a good way to. I don't like a date and we're going to like wail on one another. I just don't like that. Although the guys seem to like it, they guess they have a lot of pent up testosterone.
Yeah, I just wrote one thing about it and I said, not a big fan of dates where people beat each other up.
Uh, I guess that's where I'm at as well. And then the other date was worse. It was the
The love and
Rach,
romance date.
yes, with Flora and Boris romance lessons, which included flirting, French kissing your fist, armpit smelling, and writing a romantic letter. Now, I've been married 30 years. I suspect your mother has smelled my armpits before, but it's never something we consciously did. It's not like smell my armpit, to get my musky scent. I don't understand. Help me understand.
I can't help you understand. I don't understand. This date was terrible. You had to watch an older French couple make out for a few minutes to start it off. You had to flirt with Rachel, which, like, that's got to come naturally. It's not really something you can just turn on in front of a crowd, at least not for me. And it just seems so awkward. And then we get to the armpit sniffing. Like, I don't think you could pay me enough money to sniff Meatball's armpit.
And one of them, I thought, said when Rachel sniffed one of their armpits and didn't find it particularly odoriferous, one of the fellows said, "What's brewing in that armpit stew?" That made me chuckle a little bit.
That was disgusting.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I'm old. I don't know what you crazy kids are doing these days. Please tell me it's not armpit sniffing.
I, I'm not personally doing that, and I really hope that those men all wore deodorant.
I certainly do too. I hope they wore good deodorant.
Those were both lows for me. Another one, speaking of group dates, was during Gabby's group date. Rachel brought her men to watch the fighting, and Rachel sat with Gabby and just absolutely spiraled during the date because none of her guys would even look at her. And from all the way across the room, it's not like they were close to each other. They wouldn't look at her from across the room, and Gabby's men, before they fought each other, had to profess their love to Gabby. And so she was getting upset that Gabby was getting all this heartfelt attention, and Rachel couldn't even get some eye contact. But it wasn't about Rachel that night. And I think, I don't like saying this about women, but I think she was overreacting. And I just really like to see one episode where both of the girls aren't spiraling for some dumb reason.
Well, as we watched the episode, I guess one of my comment after Gabby's one-on-one date with Jason, when she was crying at the end of it, saying that she can't believe that she's so lucky, I sort of wrote down that she's just a roller coaster. I'm just not sure what we're going to get here. It's up, it's down. Uh, you know,
Gabby was more consistent this week than Rachel.
Well, then I also wrote Rachel is a roller coaster at Gabby's date when she's freaking out because no one's noticing her, no one cares. She's screaming, "I want to be noticed, damn it!" and no one's noticing her. And I do say that the guys, there aren't a lot of rules here. I mean, I think it would have been wise for a guy or two to say, "Hey, I see Rachel over there. I'm going to go get some brownie points." I don't think anyone's telling me I can't go over there and say hello or I can't sit there. It did seem like the guys were a little too interested in boxing matches than than anything else. I don't know. It's the whole thing seemed weird,
I
but
don't know. I think you take a group of guys to go watch their friends beat the crap out of each other, they're going to be a little distracted.
well, they're certainly going to be distracted. But I think the smart ones might figure out a way to take better advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah, but I still don't think it warrants the reaction that we're getting.
I agree. I agree. So other than the group date stinking and both girls, in my view, being somewhat of roller coaster rides, that's those are my lows.
My last low was Logan talking about jumping ship to Gabby. Cruise pun intended. Um, he had his time to make his decision, and he doesn't get to take I don't like that he's trying to take the power back. And, you know, poor Rachel is just already going through it. And so this upcoming week when she finds out that Logan's still into Gabby, it's just going to be such an ordeal again about them getting compared to each other and her not feeling like enough and blah blah blah. And I really don't feel like he should have accepted Rachel's rose if he wasn't into her. He should have taken that time to just talk to Gabby instead and see if he was interested or she was interested in him. And if not, he should have gone home. And I also have not heard great things about Logan outside of the show. So I just am not a Logan fan.
Well, I agree with you. Logan was making noise pretty much the whole episode that he still has feelings for Gabby. The way they set up the last rose ceremony to sort of separate them. If Rachel gives me a rose, do I take it? I don't know. I mean, you're trying. I don't know. But he's making a lot of noise about it. I guess the cocktail party was cut short again because of the Hayden situation, and Logan claimed he was going to say something to Gabby. It seemed to me that if he was truly brave and bold, like he said he was going to be, maybe at the beginning of the rose ceremony, he would have stepped up and said, "Look, I need to say something. Rachel, you're very nice, but I don't feel like we have a connection. Gabby, I'm really interested in you. I would please consider me for a rose." And seems like that would have been the play. But if you like hanging on a cruise ship, visiting European ports, and
And
hanging with getting screen time and hanging with your buddies, you might just say, "Hey, I'll take that rose, and we'll let this go for another week and see what happens."
At least he realizes that he's the villain now. He like acknowledged that he feels like the villain, which
I don't think he's claimed the villain title from Chris yet, but we'll watch that.
no, he's a different level of villain.
Well, but I think you're correct in that. Although you might want to see an episode without one of them spiraling out of control, it ain't going to be next week.
No, it's definitely not going to be next week. Hopefully, 2 weeks from now, maybe I'll get my wish. So
Okay.
let's move on to the right reason. My right reason is Jason. I quite enjoyed how little he talked at the beginning of his date. But then when he opened up at the end of the date, it was really great. He was talking about how overwhelmed he would get or how he was from just the beginning of, their quote unquote journey that they've been going on, how he didn't eat for like 3 days, didn't sleep for 3 days, all of that stuff. He talked about growing up and how he felt like he didn't belong within his friend group, and he worked through it during therapy, which we don't get that much of from the male side on this show. We don't get a lot of therapy talk. And I just like Jason because he seems like grown up to me. He seems like a normal guy I think he's 30. Like he's just too normal for this show. He's emotionally mature. He handled Gabby opening up about her mom very well, said all the right things about Hayden, saying she was rough around the edges. I like Jason a lot.
Okay. I think that's good, and perhaps a glass or two of wine helped him loosen up a little bit and share, and good for him. And I respected the fact that he was open and honest about his therapy, and so that's good for him. Uh, I'm giving the right reason to Paris. Beautiful city. There are certain cities in the world that I could just walk around, wander around, people watch, uh, and I've been to Paris twice. Look forward to going back someday. So I just enjoyed the whole Paris situation. So I'm giving my right reason to Paris this week.
That's great. The Parisian ambiance really can't be beat. And even in like the light rain, it was still very beautiful.
I agree. I agree.
My wrong reason, we keep going. My wrong reason is going to Hayden, obviously. He's doubling down on his rough around the edges comment. He's saying that Gabby actually said that about herself. I don't recall her saying that about herself, but if she did, I'm sure it was like in a jokey like way. She didn't actually mean it, and if she did, she didn't mean it in a way that you could use it like throw it back in her face. He's calling Gabby and Rachel bitches, saying that he doesn't see how anyone could be into them enough to marry either of them. He's saying they don't compare to his ex. And then he's using his dying dog to prove how much he's there for Rachel and how serious he is about her.
He brought a whole book of pictures of his dog and like a dog toy or something, and then basically said, "My dog has a brain tumor, has only a few months to live, but I came here for you just to show how much I really love you." That was really weird. And awkward and uncomfortable. Um, and then when I guess Meatball, who is also known as James, comes to
I do believe
Ra-
that's his real name.
comes to Rachel and says, "Look, I just need you to know that this Hayden guy has been saying some bad things about you and Gabby," and gets Rachel all riled up. And she goes and grabs Hayden and says, "We need to talk. And you know what we're going to talk about?" And he looks and he's already upset because she didn't show enough empathy toward Rambo, the dying dog. And he assumes and look, losing a pet is tough. I appreciate that, but you make your choices, and
You lose a little sympathy when your dog's dying and you decide to go on The Bachelorette.
exactly. And then I'm going to use and that's going to be my
That's
here's
my
how I
sob story.
that's how I'm going to show you how much I'm here for you, because I'm leaving my dying pet. And then it's I don't want to laugh about a dying pet, but hearing him be interviewed after he's escorted off and saying, Rambo's really the one for me, and Rambo loves me unconditionally. I need to get back to Rambo. I was just shaking my head.
Yeah, I thought it was funny at the end where he's talking about his unconditional love with Rambo and how he hopes that Rachel is able to find someone who loves her as much as Rambo loves him. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It it wasn't a
No,
good look at all around for Hayden.
no, it wasn't. But you also got the impression when Hayden was talking with the guys and the ladies were not around, he kind of came off as pretty two-faced. When he sort of let his guard down and was talking informally, he he didn't sound very much like the Hayden who was speaking to the ladies when he was with them.
Yeah, and then he's denying it, saying, "Oh, I would never say those things. That's not in my character."
Well, for wrong reason, obviously. I did have Hayden on the list. I also did put Logan down as well. Um,
Fair.
and we talked about Logan, and that, he's the guy that is saying that he wants to be with, he's on Team Rachel now, but he's really still interested in Gabby, and he's plotting for how he's going to talk to Gabby and everything. And then it rubbed me the wrong way that at the end he's wondering what to do. Should I say something? Rachel offers him a rose, pauses for a second, then accepts it, and then we hear him being interviewed saying, fortune favors the bold. He's not being bold. He's being a weenie. He's being, I'm going to stay on the boat for a while and get the airtime, as you said. So I had him on the wrong reason list as well.
I agree that he's a weenie.
So,
and
anyway.
From what I've heard, through the grapevine, aka like other Bachelor podcasts I listen to, he likes to send unsolicited weenie pics to girls post show.
Well, that's not a good thing to do either. So that's early dad advice. Don't do that. Don't send weenie pics to anyone. Don't take weenie pics. Just don't do that. Who's your MVP? Who's your MVP?
You're not gonna like this. I couldn't really find like a great MVP this week, but you're not gonna like this one. I'm giving it to Gabby simply because she's being the lead that doesn't spiral this week. She seems to be embracing the Bachelorette role. She seems to be doing well, and I love Gabby.
I think that's fine. I don't know who to pick, so I think Gabby's fine. I'm impressed. Our four finalists, both of our four finalists are still all in the running. Although I was sweating Mario there at the end, and I wonder if he'll be with us much longer. He's really not done much to distinguish himself, as far as I can tell. I feel, from the list that you have, I think Tino, Zach, and I guess Avon. Avon's been a little quiet lately, but he seems like a nice guy.
It looks like we might be getting an Avon one-on-one next week.
Yeah, and I'm feeling good about Nate and Zach on mine. So, feel pretty good about that.
I know we've got some good top fours. I feel like this is the best we've done so far. So. Granted, it's more like a top 8. I don't know. We didn't really know how to do this, but it's fine. Do you have any fatherly advice to wrap us up?
Can I start? You said that I can maybe do a dad joke. I'm going to throw a dad joke at you.
Oh, gosh. Okay. What's the dad joke of the week?
What do you call a grandmother on speed dial?
I don't know, but I feel like this should be related to like the show. Are you going to tie it in?
No, but it's Instagram. So anyway, think about that. But I do have some fatherly advice for you.
Well, should I tie this in a little? Like Instagram. Okay, if you have any questions for us, you could always DM us on our Instagram account, My Dad Watches The Bachelor. We also have an email, mydadwatchesbachelor@gmail.com. That's how you tie in your dad joke.
You're pretty good at that. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
So just a little bit of advice. Number one, therapy. People my age sometimes are just a little, particularly men, don't like to talk about therapy or might try to avoid it. But, kudos to Jason for being open and honest about it. And if anyone needs help or trouble, you need to talk to somebody. So whether it be therapy or just talking to people, good job by Jason. I thought that was good. Hayden was in trouble from last week running his mouth, and he did more of it this week. And, if you want to get out of a hole, the first thing you got to do is stop digging. And Hayden didn't seem to recognize this. He seemed to just make his hole bigger and bigger. So sometimes you just got to stop and take a few steps back.
He's too used to digging holes with Rambo, out in the yard, just having a good old time.
Let's not talk about that. It makes me sad because Rambo, this is going to come up at the mental all or the end thing.
Jesse Palmer's going to be like, Hayden, is Rambo dead?
Something like that. It's coming. You know it. And then Rachel talked about how embarrassing the whole guys turning down roses were and everything. And it's like, hey, it was not the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to her. You want to avoid embarrassment? Don't go on a reality TV show about dating. There's going to be embarrassment. So if that's something that you're worried about, you really need to avoid going on reality TV shows, particularly this one.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank The Mesh for hosting our podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, feel free to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Join us next week as we discuss more of Gabby and Rachel's season from the right perspective and my dad.